Today we're going to be split into two groups, the reminiscers and young people. And yes, that means the reminiscers are old, like myself, because basically what we're looking at today is one of those sneakers that bridges the generational gap between my generation, which is like the 80s and the 90s, and then the young people's generation out there, which is current right now. Because sometimes what happens is somebody from the past pops into the present, and it's a way of sort of bridging the gap between generations. I know it happened a few years ago. I think it was Justin Timberlake and Paul McCartney, and a bunch of Justin Timberlake fans were like, who's this Paul McCartney dude? And it was kind of like, for my generation. And that might just be what's about to go on today with this sneaker, because what we're going to be doing in today's sneaker is taking a look at the Adidas Superstar Laceless. And the thing is, the thing that, that I really want people to get and to take out of this video is I want them to get that, the roots of the hip hop scene. If you're into your hip hop and you're into your hip hop scene, then the roots of the hip hop scene and how it's tied up to the Adidas Superstar, and then also the hip hop band, the hip hop group that started it all with this Adidas mashup. And that's the thing I want people to get out of today's video, and you will know you've got there. You'll know you've nailed it if you can name that band and tell me how this sneaker has been updated so there's a little bit of technology in there that makes it work better than it did 30 years ago. For now, let's get into this as we look at the Adidas Superstar Laceless. This is a Tokyo About 23 sneaker channel, Tokyo About 23 sneaker channel des. Mainichi yapsuru no de mainichi mite kudasai. And every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news and sneaker reviews. And today we're looking at this smashing Adidas Superstar Laceless. And the big deal about it is the 50-year anniversary of the Adidas Superstar. I've already had a look at some Superstars this year because of that 50th anniversary, and they are bringing out some pretty unique colorways to go with this silhouette. And one of the things I tell people is that I toss up links up here throughout my videos, and I realize they're available at the end of the video, so you don't just have to click on this when I point at it, you can click on it at the end of the video. For example, the Super Stan, which was a mashup between the Superstar and the Stan Smith sneakers, and I did that review all in Japanese, and it's right here. Doing. So there's a link, and that link will be hanging out up there throughout this video, and you can catch that whenever you want to. Excuse me. The air is really dry here in Tokyo, Japan. You wouldn't believe it. To be honest, to cut into a little bit of personal stuff, my little girl, she's 2 years old. She has this awful dry cough right now, which is hard. It's hard. Hard on her, obviously, but it's hard on me as well to watch her be in such a challenging place. But she's doing fine. But it's that dry air that's really making people struggle right now. But you know what? Having a little dry cough is a lot better than having something else that's kicking around in Asia right now. So, but we'll just leave that aside and get into these Superstar Laceless. And like I said, the two things, it's about that hip hop group that started it all back in the 80s, and it's also about the technology that makes these sneakers work for 30 years later from when they were kicking around back originally, the OGs in the day. So let's have a look at these guys. What I'm talking about for the uninitiated is a hip hop group, Run DMC. I don't know what young people today know about about Run DMC, but for me, and for maybe my generation of non-hip hop fans, I'm sure that there are hip hop guys out there that could tell me there's a history before what I'm talking about. But for me, there were two bands that were they weren't in my normal sort of range of vision growing up, but they did come into it through different ways, and one of them was De La Soul. I don't know if anybody out there knows De La Soul, and in particular an album called 3 Feet High and Rising, which is just a seminal album, amazing. If you have the desire, go check out De La Soul 3 Feet High and Rising. It's still current today. But also this, the one that's inspiring this shoe, and the reason that we're here today is Run DMC. And Run DMC did a collaboration with Aerosmith, and now Aerosmith kind of mainstream established rock band, and then they did a collaboration with a hip-hop, an emerging hip-hop group, which was a big deal at the time. And you know, at the time with those kind of things, it could have gone one way or the other. It could have been like, oh my goodness, why are these established rockers hanging out with the hip-hop group? Or it could have been, man, this is unique and this is fly and this is absolutely powerful, which is what it was. The song took off. It's called Walk This Way, if you haven't ever heard of it. I'm sure most of you have, but that was the mashup between Aerosmith and Run DMC. It brought Run DMC into the mainstream, and they have always been about the three-stripe branding. I'm sure I've been putting pictures up behind me here that shows you them wearing, like me today, the three-stripe branding on their shoulders and also the three-stripe branding on their feet. And in particular, they were famous for taking the laces out of Adidas Superstars and wearing them laceless. So in homage to that, they've updated the Adidas Superstar and they're bringing out this laceless version. Now, I asked the question when I was researching this, are they just taking the mickey? I was going to say a bad word there, but I'll just say taking the mickey, because have they just taken the laces out and they're selling us a shoe probably for slightly higher than the regular Superstars, but you haven't got the laces on it? But they're not. There are technological developments within the shoe to make it all work, and I'll tell you all about those. But first, let's have a look at the whole shoe in total. And I say shoe, but I should say shoes because there are two of them. There's a black and white version, and there's a white and black version, and they are polar opposites 99% of the time. Hopefully behind me here you can see a quick mashup between the two, but there is one place for some reason where they decided not to go opposites, and that's on the tongue branding. And you can see the tongue branding behind me here. If we do the black ones first, you can see that the tongue is black, that the branding is black, and then on top of that is the gold branding itself. So tongue black, black square, gold branding. And then if we flip over to the white ones, you can see that they have the same branding on the tongue. Even though it's a white tongue, it's still black branding with the gold overlays on it. So that's the one place where they're the same between the two sneakers. Everywhere else, they're exactly opposites. Except, I suppose, the other place where there's gold branding, which is on the midfoot beside the three-stripe branding. You can see the word Superstar there in gold. But with the exception, I suppose, of those two places, everything else on these sneakers is completely opposite. On the white version, you've got black three-stripe branding, like this. On the black version, you've got white street side, three-stripe branding like this. And you can see that they are completely opposites. A good place to look at that is on the heel, where you've got that white. On the black version, you've got the white heel tab, but it's black branding on it. And then on the white version, you've got a black heel tab and it's white branding on it. And that kind of opposition there, the lining on the inside of these guys, the toe box, that iconic shell toe box, which does make up the main kind of design feature of Superstars in general. All of the features, the outsole, the midsoles, everything about them completely opposite, except for that gold branding that's the same on both that says Superstar, and then that tongue branding. I think the tongue branding is a bit of a missed opportunity. I think they could have put Run DMC branding on there, for example. I think there's a Run DMC collaboration coming. These are a homage to Run DMC, but they're not necessarily a Run DMC collaboration. But I think there is an actual, like Run DMC branded Superstar collaboration coming down the line, but it hasn't quite got there yet. So, but I still think they could have done a little bit more with the tongue branding, and done something a bit more than just your standard sort of Adidas branding throughout, and sort of something a bit more to nod towards the hip hop scene. But staying up there in that branding element that's near the tongue, this is where the technology element comes in that makes things a little bit different. Because if it was a laceless sneaker, let's be honest, they'd fall off and the tongue would slide around all over the place. I remember when I was reviewing the Sakai Blazers. Doing. There's a link to that. And the Sakai Blazers, one of the signature elements of the Sakai sneakers is that they have double branding, and they have two tongues in the Sakai Blazers, and I was worried about whether or not there'd be a lot of lateral sliding from the two tongues in there, and that would be an absolute nightmare. It's hard enough with one tongue, but they actually have quite a stable tongue system in there. I own a pair of I think it's Snow Beach they're called, the yellow and blue ones, and there isn't that much slippage on there. And it's the same for these guys, that slippage that you might worry about isn't on there because there's an elastic band behind the tongue that holds everything in place. So the two main fears that you might have about a laceless pair of sneakers, that the tongue is slipping around and sliding all over the place laterally, or that the fit is too loose and they're going to kind of come off your feet, or your foot's going to sort of slip out of the heel as you're walking along. Those two things are not worries for anybody out there, because that elastic band that's underneath the tongue is going to hold it to your foot tight, and it's going to stop the tongue from sliding laterally around the place. So for sure, these are going to be a poppin' sneaker that is also functional and does its job as a sneaker, i.e. it stays on your foot. So these guys, they're hot, they have a great story behind them. The hip hop scene, that OG kind of Run DMC vibe that's for me, it's like going back to the 80s where I was, a teenager and growing up, going through the end of primary school and into high school. But then for the younger generation out there, maybe they don't know much about Run DMC or where Run DMC came from, and especially that one point where they tied it up with Aerosmith and the song Walk This Way, which really pulled them into the mainstream. And got people like me to know more about them, which, to be frank, being from rural Scotland, probably wouldn't have happened otherwise. For now though, time for me to sign off, and thank you guys for checking out my content. I truly do appreciate it. I am here every single day with this kind of content, and like I said about those links that I point to, like this one here, doing, there's a playlist of rare sneakers in hand. Every day, I do this every day, and I pop up those links there, and if you want to follow one of those links and go check out another one of the videos, please do that link. Even though it just comes up and goes back again, it actually hangs out up there, and you can click on it at any time during the video, not just when I point to it. So please do that. But for now, it's time for me to sign off. Thank you guys for checking out my content. But as I am here every single day, he says slowing right down because he's having a senior moment. Did I give you guys the hint for what's coming tomorrow? I don't think I did. Rare sneakers in hand every Sunday at the Tokyo Butter 23 sneaker channel. And usually I give you hints throughout the week, but this week I'm only giving you 2 hints, yesterday and today, and then tomorrow I will tell you what the sneaker is that's coming on Sunday. But the rare sneaker in hand this week, the hint that I'm giving you, yesterday it was Air Jordan 1 Dawn C, and what we're adding to that is Black History Month. So if you know what rare Air Jordan 1 Dawn C Black History Month sneaker is coming to the channel in hand on Sunday, hit me up with a comment down below. If you don't know what's coming, check out tomorrow's video and you will hear exactly which one it is, because it's one of the rarest sneakers in the world and it's absolutely fire. I am guaranteeing that right there. But anyway, hopefully I did give you that hint at the start of the video, and then I've given you it again at the end of the video. But if I didn't give it to you at the start of the video, then yay, I'm glad I remembered before I signed off. But speaking of sign off, it is time for me to head out there and do things. So just thank you very much for checking out my content. Truly appreciate it. But as I do this every single day, that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.